Oh, this song. Brother, do you think we've ever had a battle of wits?
No.
Like ever? Like one time you and I ever sat down and went pet to pet?
I'll tell you the battle I was having with the old eyeballs in that second intermission, bud. That was the battle with me.
That was your battle? That was your struggle, eh? Okay.
6-1, 6-1.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just sitting there on the couch. I'm like, I could put the feet up. I'm like, I could put the blankie on. And then the start of the third period happens, and I'm like, oh, okay, time to lock back in here. We got a hockey game. But yeah.
By the way, our
again,
YouTube audience
thanks
is hearing
again.
that for the first time.
First time? Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's the YouTube audience getting the guys from Protest the Hero. Well, I don't shouldn't give credit to everybody across the board. I think it was just Roddy who wrote the song. So thanks again to him for putting that together. Yeah, Leafs win. You're right. This man, of course they play their best period of the season, right? Like that's their best period of the year, right?
Yeah, I think that's maybe their best period in franchise history.
Yeah, okay. They were awesome. They were great.
Unbelievable, buddy.
They were outrageously good. The
Yes.
depth shows up. Everyone performs admirably. You were kind of waiting for a little bit of letdown in the second period. It doesn't happen. You're right. The end of the game happens, and I'll tell you this, dude. Leaf fans are so broken because there is not one person who cares about this hockey team that saw the Golden Knights score that second goal in the third period and didn't just start doing the like, please don't let another embarrassing thing happen to this team. You know, they're still up 6-3. Like it's still a 3-goal lead. I know it, but this is the only franchise that throws together the full panic mode like that. I'm like, pull the goaltender. This is emergency mode. Can't let anything happen. As soon as Martin Jones is letting every single puck ring off the post after those 3 goals, I'm just sitting there going, is this really going to be that night? Is this really going to be another just black eye for Leaf fans where we all celebrated and went, maybe something's happening with this group? And of course it would go this way. Again, they were still up 3 goals. It wasn't like a 1-goal game. It wasn't even a 2-goal game. They were still up 3 goals. And I think all of the collective trauma of this fan base just went immediately into hyperdrive. There is the smallest layer of skin for Leaf fans when it comes to protecting people from the trauma.
Yeah, I was immediately panicking.
Of course.
The second, was it Amadio that scores the second one, of course? And it's like, it has the Leaf fan part of it where it's a former Leaf that starts the comeback. Amadio, you can picture him getting a couple more in the fake comeback that doesn't happen. But yeah, like I immediately was being like, oh my God, we're going to have to go on and talk about how the Leafs blew a 5-goal lead. And I'm half asleep.
Dude,
and how the hell am I gonna like? What's the take? I don't even know what the take is. And then thank God Austin Matthews does what he does, and he puts the game to bed, like most people who are watching this should be in. But yeah, Austin Matthews puts it to bed.
Can I say one thing about that though? Before, like, cause it's a nice goal. It's a nice play by Holmberg, right? Mm-hmm. Where patient waits for Matthews to get into position, time and space, boom, scores. But huge kill by the Leafs there because they were in full scramble mode. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that game did start to feel a little bit sweaty. And then they just immediately, they give up they have a penalty against them where they didn't give up any shots.
Yeah. I thought that the Golden Knights penalty kill, ice-ready power play was pretty lifeless. They don't like, we can get more into the bigger picture with them, but they're clearly missing 2 of their, superstars on the power play. So I didn't think they had a ton of chances, but give the Leafs credit. Thought specifically on that kill, David Kampf, and in general tonight, David Kampf had his best game all year. I know he scores the goal, but he just looked like what David Kampf is supposed to be: defensive, aggressive, good on the kill, in the right spots, below the, doing everything that he's supposed to do. And on that kill specifically, he had the one moment where he took it down into the offensive zone. I think he was chasing William Karlsson, hounds him, makes him cough up the puck, gets off for a good change. So it was a big moment in the game. They killed it off, but I didn't think the Golden Knights power play looked too particularly threatening. And they didn't. But they just put it away. Matthews does what he does.
But you're right. The story of tonight's game is beyond just the waves of offense and the domination of the first period. Is that the depth, dude? the depth just showed up tonight, didn't you? Okay, so if there's stuff to be made from the Morgan Riley conversation, I know there's already going to be people that are trying to diminish this win because I saw it in the comments and I saw it in the text of, oh, Vegas didn't have their full team, whatever. It's like the Leafs are on a back-to-back. They've missed guys at points this season too. Well, hey, listen, they're missing Eichel, sure, but their Leafs are missing Calle Yarncroc, buddy. Like they're missing guys too. Anyway, it really does feel like these guys are gelling. Like we said it on the last show, you talked about the Matthews family barbecue and how it's having an effect. But did you see the two intermissions? They got Domi talking, they got Reeves talking. It really felt like Reeves had an actual energy in the game. And sure, like 4HLers in a big period and the game tilts or whatever. I'm not saying this is going to be every night, but this went from a team where a couple weeks ago it was just they got one guy and then they got Mitch Marner going to all of a sudden everybody's chipping in. This is incredible for Brad Treliving. All of a sudden all of his guys are doing things.
Yeah, I don't think it's too crazy to say that Ridley Gregg saved the Leaf season. Like that clapper saved the Leaf season. Like it's just they've been a completely different team immediately after that. And Riley, they all galvanized around it. They talked about it multiple times how much it mattered to them. Keefe went out of his way this morning last night after the game to be like, yeah, like we were pissed off about how he had to do that and how like he had to be the one that
Buddy,
was
did you hear in between the intermissions Reeves talking about it?
Yes.
Where he said a guy that's sticking up for the crest, and I went, you know what? Good contract, 3 years, right? I don't mind it whatsoever.
And every guy who talked about this was like, it legitimately seemed like a huge wake-up call where it's like they're all noticing that maybe their most important guy is just sick of it, sick of stuff happening, sick of them losing to bad teams, sick of them getting punked by guys. And he takes a 5-gamer and they've completely built around it. Like I have a hard time believing that, they've played some bad teams and we can talk all about that, but just the way they've played is completely different than the way they've played earlier in the year. And it just really does feel like they've come together. And I think the real catalyst for that has been, I don't know what John Tavares has accepted or what's happened here, but them putting together that line of Domi, Bertuzzi, and Nylander as the second line and moving Tavares down, to me, has really been an eye-opening thing and really changed the dynamic of how this team looks like.
Domi was awesome again tonight.
He was been great for a couple games here since he's been moved into that spot.
Yeah, we talked about it all year. Maybe we should be the coach because this was the take that we've had basically from the beginning of Domi's season, which is try to play him with a little bit more talent. He's going to have drawbacks. He's going to spook you in his own end. If you catch him on the boards and he's trying to get the puck out of his defensive zone, it's going to be a problem, right? It's likely going to not get out. But there's a lot of talent there, dude. And there's a lot of attitude. And there's something about it, too, when things are going well and you get to see the toothless grin.
Oh, yeah.
That it moves me a certain way. It does.
Makes me feel some kind of way. I get it.
It does. It makes me feel a certain kind of way when Max Domi's smiling and he's playing with energy, and Bertuzzi was everywhere tonight too. Like it's just everybody's game falling together at the same time. It really is astonishing how much this sport, time and time again, you're like, yeah, effort and buy-in goes a long way.
Yeah, and like I am completely stunned by this result tonight. I talked about it on the show today about how this would be an easy spot for them to let down. Coming off the big Coyotes game where it's Nyes, it's Matthews, it's 50 goals, it's them on the second half of back-to-back with Martin Jones and net, and they just come out and they score 4 in the first, and I feel like I don't really recognize this team at the moment in the right kind of way. It just I love that goal from Domi too, where he shields off the guy, chips it back across the other way.
I love the speed, dude. We've talked about how slow the Leafs have been all year, and all of a sudden there was that one with just incredible burst.
Yeah, so that line to me, and I feel as though Bertuzzi obviously has had a really hard year, and we don't need to go into that. But him tonight, it feels like he's more involved. Like he's gelling more with these two guys than he has with anybody else in terms of he knows where to stand, he knows where to be, knows what his role is on the line, as opposed to him playing with Marner that didn't work, him with Willie and Tavares it didn't work. So I'm really looking forward to them giving us this some more run, because I do think that Domi, Bertuzzi, and Nylander has the potential to really grow into something good. And you can use Tavares almost like in a checking role here now. Feels like that's what they're doing.
So I actually feel the opposite about the Tavares checking role thing. So I agree with what you said about that line. It does feel like they've got an attitude, and whatever the way that those two guys play seems to rub off on William Nylander too, right? We saw it in the last game where he's throwing the body around, but I don't know what it is, but it just a little bit more jump, a little bit more nastiness from that group. They just they feel super engaged these last couple of games.
Absolutely.
Again, we'll see if this thing lasts, but they do. There's an attitude to that line. It has a feel to it. The thing I actually really love about the Tavares stuff is, man, he's had now 2 games in a row where he's ripped a 5-on-5 goal. But guess what he has? He doesn't have to be Mr. Checking Line. He doesn't have to be Mr. Go out and get it and hustle it all the time and playing with Nylander and the guy that's grinding everywhere. And granted, on the goal that Tavares gets, or he's in the dirty areas. Like he's not afraid to be out in front of the net. But Bobby McMahon, dude, again tonight on that goal. What is he doing? It's a lucky bounce off Martinez, but it's Bobby McMahon just chasing pucks relentlessly and digging in and making sure that Tavares get one. And Robertson hasn't really done like too much for me. I actually think he's been fine. He just hasn't had any really go in. Nothing overly problematic. Looks like a fine player. But if they could get Yarncroc on that line and have it be Tavares, Yarncroc, and McMahon, that might be a thing, dude. Yeah, like that might be another line. You might actually have figured out 3 lines. Yeah, it's not the way we expected them to.
I think with the thing with Tavares playing down is that now he's getting way more favorable matchups than he's got
big time
in his whole career, right? Like you think about the guys that he's had to go up against for his entire career. He's playing against the upper echelon guys on every team every night. And now you go down to that third line where you're playing with Bobby McMahon, who can carry the puck for you, can win battles, he can skate, he's digging it out like on the goal, like you said tonight. He seems like a really fun guy to play with just because what he can do with his size and his speed. And you're playing against other teams' third line. Like this could be the best thing that's ever happened to Tavares here for the next little bit. Just at this point of his career to go down there and get those matchups, like we could really see this turn into being something very fruitful for Toronto if he can continue to sort of take advantage of these matchups.
I think every single Leaf fan and a lot of observers, most people have been waiting for them to not just be a 2-line team or to feel like the talent was spread out. A big gamble of this year in signing Bertuzzi and signing Domi and trying to go more offense was, hey, this team is going to try to find secondary scoring. And I'm really trying to buy into the potential of spreading the talent around with this team, potentially having 3 lines where Domi is your second line center or whatever. You can call Domi, Tavares, whatever you want to do it. I think any line Nylander's on is the second line. But having Tavares be on a third, and then all of a sudden potentially having 3 defensive pairings that you feel confident in, right? Because you've got Brody and Liljegren. You've split up some talent. You've got a third pairing that looks quality. And now there's real potential when you're looking at the deadline of saying, okay, we can just add one other person to play with Morgan Rielly. That's an upgrade on William Lagesson, which doesn't seem to be that hard. Like you don't have to push in your first round pick. You don't have to go big game hunting to upgrade on that position now. All of a sudden the Leafs after this trip and after this stretch without Rielly, like they look deeper, they look more spread out, they look more engaged, they look more bought in. They look like they're playing with more energy. They have more attitude. Like a lot of the things that I think we were expecting to see at the very beginning of the season, if you were really optimistic about what they could be, is how they've looked over this stretch.
I think if you were going to be critical of this, you would say, why did it take John Tavares and Mitch Marner being sick and Morgan Rielly being suspended for 5 games to try these different guys in these different roles? But you don't want to quibble with process versus result here. But the process of this is a little bit frustrating when you watch this and you watched the games in the first half of the season where it was 25 minutes a night for the big boys and nobody else getting anything else. But it's a great win, and I'm not going to quibble too hard of it, but that did cross my mind.
One of the greatest Canadian inventions, penicillin, accident.
Yeah,
you
buddy.
know,
you never know.
Telephone, accident. Like it just don't hate it.
You're
just,
right. You're right.
If you get there, you get there. You know, if you get there, you get there. Telephone was an accident, but they didn't think that's what it was going to be. But yeah, I don't know,
What's
man.
this I invented? What is this?
Yeah, no, it wasn't. Yeah, it
I
wasn't.
could call my
It
mom.
didn't just fall together. Yeah, but dude, I love it right now. This is the most optimistic I've been all season. Obviously, I don't think
Yeah.
anybody has would push back against that. But boy, I don't care how many AHLers the Golden Knights have in the roster. That's a back-to-back. You're going into Vegas. It had a big game feel right from the beginning. I tweeted it, but like immediately in. I will say there was an alternate reality to me where that puck bounces the other way.
Yeah,
And we're going,
Yeah.
it goes the other way where like, look at this puck.
Yeah.
This is stupid. I need a physicist to break down exactly how this bit that way.
The spin doctor. He hit right
it bites and it goes back.
Yeah.
But it could have been Morgan Riley returns and the Leafs, they start slow. They don't start on time against a good team. And they played this team that was hungry, and Vegas was just hard on the puck early on. They were getting chances towards the net. Felt like they were dominating the first 5 minutes, and then Toronto settled in, and the rest was history. But yeah, that puck, I do remember that one. I think it was a noteworthy moment in the game.
Can I pick up on what you said about the guys missing? Like, you can definitely quibble with them having 4 Henderson Silver Knights, which is a terrible name for an AHL team. Like, come on.
I don't even like when you say it.
Yeah, Henderson Silver Knights. Anyway,
no, it sounds like you got it wrong.
Core, I know but that's what it is. In their forward core, their D-core that was lauded as the greatest Stanley Cup winning D-core, and how it was, you can't beat those guys with that D-core, was the exact same group as it was that won the Stanley Cup last year. So
barbecued all night.
Then the Leafs scored 7 on them. So there's no, you can quibble about the forwards, obviously, and they don't have a lot of their. Mark Stone is one of the better players in the league to watch. Jack Eichel is a top 10 guy in the league when he's on. But yeah, they went up against one of the elite of the elite D-cores and they beat them. So yeah, you give them credit for that. Absolutely.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Anything else from this game? Because like honestly, I don't really know what else to say. Just that I feel like we kind of hit on everything. Like there's probably individual. I guess we should probably mention Pontus Holmberg, who had.
How did Fraser Minton beat this guy out in camp? What happened?
They were trying to give him a pee-pee whack. That's why.
You think?
Yeah, I don't think I know.
Okay. Anything
I know for a fact that Sheldon Keefe didn't like the way Holmberg showed up to camp.
Okay.
And they didn't think that he had a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And they thought that there was a little bit of like, oh, I've just got a roster spot, and that wasn't the attitude that they wanted to have from the depth guys.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that that's like how Holmberg felt about it or whatever, but I'm just saying that was the perception, and they pee-pee whacked him.
Okay.
Like they put the kid in. Yeah. And they said, yeah, you're going to have to grind in the AHL and prove to get your spot back. But yeah, I think that when we look back on the season, one of the funnier things will be that Fraser Minton did break camp with the team. Like it's
and played like some games. It wasn't 7 or 8 games.
Like that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But yeah, Holmberg was good. I felt bad for him when he got that penalty because I thought, oh no, this is gonna are you gonna end up being a whipping boy?
Year. He's taken a few of those this year where it's been like
he's a little reckless with the stick.
Timely bad penalties and bad spots that you don't want him to take, but I think that's a sign of a guy that's, at least being aggressive. Yeah, that goal he scored was beautiful, but I can't tell you, like everyone was going crazy about it, rightfully so. Not the most stellar goaltending performance by Logan Thompson on that one.
Or coverage is like, the broadcast is going nuts about how Marchessault's defending the drop pass. I'm like, it's Ryan Reeves.
Or
maybe
or how about a stride, Marchessault?
Yeah,
one
like
stride
maybe try to push the guy off the puck. Like
that was the McKee beer league defense. Stick the stick out and coast.
Yeah. So they're like, he bit on the back pass to Ryan Reeves. I was like, well, that's a bad call. You shouldn't really be doing that. I loved that the depth line, the fourth line, was just humming all night long. That those guys wanted it and that they were in their face, and it was great. Really felt like something there. And
go ahead.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that about the fourth line because I wanted to bring that up. Mm-hmm. Like I said about Camp, I thought Camp, it was his best game of the year. I thought he was excellent.
Unquestionably.
And I like Reeves in this line, and I like having the ability to move Gregor in and out of the lineup. To me, this is like the ideal scenario for a fourth line where you have 2 guys that are locked in, with Kampf and Holmberg. I think Holmberg could probably come out at some point if he has a bad stretch here, but he seems like he's pretty locked into the lineup. And then you have, for certain matchups, if you want to have speed or if you want to have some heaviness, you can mix in Gregor, you can mix in Reeves. They bring totally different things. For me, that's like the perfect element for a fourth line. And I think Reeves has just proved himself here that he can be a capable 10-minute in a hockey game and not kill you like he did at the start of the year. Like, I'm really happy that it's gone this way. I am.
I really liked Reeves tonight.
Yeah.
I think that when things are going well, you can see the energy he brings. Everybody obviously loves having the guy that, what was the kid's name? I forgot it. The dude that got hit hard by knives in the game that was hurt.
Cotter.
Yeah, Cotter. He was making faces all night long. That guy is a face. He's an expressive face. I felt like everything Vegas tonight was the many faces of Cotter. But I loved there was a moment where Reeves kind of just went up to him and was basically telling him to shut up. Otherwise, he was going to come over. And he was like not even going over. Like it was you're not worth my time. You know exactly how this is going to go and what's going to happen if I even start to move towards you. Thought Reeves was playing the body, getting around the net, getting into dirty areas, and just kind of chipping pucks towards the goal. It was nice. It was a good performance. But, and I'll say this too. I don't think Gregor, Gregor's stock is pretty low right now, considering where it was at one point in the season and the team's need for speed. Gregor just really hasn't been able to carve out a role much of anything over the last, I don't even know how many games. Like he hasn't scored a goal since before Tavares scored his leaving strength.
It's been a long time.
It's been a while for him. But they are going to get Yarncroc back. And to me, if you're heading into the deadline, I wouldn't mind them trying to add another depth forward. And I could see a scenario where come playoff time, you don't see Reeves or Holmberg in the lineup.
You mean Gregor or Holmberg?
Gregor, sorry. Because Robertson's going to come out for sure. And I think it's going to end up being Yarncroc on that third line, bump out Nick Robertson, and then still a competition between Gregor and Reeves for the final spot. But I wouldn't mind it if the Leafs also went out and said, like, if there was a guy at the right price that, it was actually December 16th against the Penguins. So I was wrong that he did score after the Tavares even strength goal. But still been a while. Still been 2 months.
Like I want to clarify that I'm very happy with the way Ryan Reeves has looked during this stretch. But if he doesn't play any playoff games, that's fine by me. Like I don't think that he's a type of guy like maybe one in a series if you need some toughness or there needs to be a message sent or something. But like I'm just happy that he looks like a hockey player.
Dude, you know what though? Like tonight was kind of one of those games. Tonight was one of those games where I felt like that's when you could see him in a playoff series. It's just a guy who's a problem in front of your net for a few minutes and who is just annoying to play against, who's going to lay a hit and who's going to bring some energy to your lineup. Like I actually think that for him, that's the best case scenario, right? But the last game he was in, he took the tripping penalty from the opposite end of the rink, got benched for most of the game. And it just, to me, the margin for error with him is so slim, and it really does have to be like that. And I think so far this year, maybe we've had 2 games with Ryan Reeves that have felt like tonight, and the rest of it has been you're not getting enough.
I think during this stretch when he's played in the 5-game winning streak, how many games has he played during that? Probably 2 or 3. I think he's been capable. The Winnipeg game was the other one, obviously, where he scored and they won that game, and he was good in that game. Was one that I think
that was his best game.
For sure. And then I think this was right there with that game he comes out of the corner there in the last minute. I thought he was about to shrug a guy off and take it to the net.
Yeah, he wanted it.
But he does have a little bit of offensive touch. Like he does, like he's not, beating it to a square totally. In front of the net, he can get the stick on it a bit. I'm not saying he's prolific by any stretch, but anyways, we spent too long on Ryan Reeves here. I'm just happy that
here's what I'll tell you about Ryan Reeves. I really hope we get a great media career out of Ryan Reeves.
That's a lock.
Yeah,
I don't think we want him to do that because he's going to take our jobs. Like he's immediately going to be like on Sportsnet and we're screwed.
Buddy, he's got to be one of the top picks ever in terms of everybody just trying to get in a bidding war for him.
Oh yeah. He could make more money in media right now than he's making playing for the Leafs. No question.
Yeah. Good.
There's no question about that.
Probably will, but he's a player. He likes being in the room. That's why he signed the 3-year deal. He wasn't even looking forward to it, and he clearly wants to still be playing. That's it for me. I don't have anything else on this game.
Great game. Really positive, but
don't do it.
Okay. I won't.
There's no point. He's a goner. He's a
Okay.
goner in like the kids down in the AHL,
Yeah.
and
Old Marty, thanks for that stretch because they needed that stretch, and it was
Marty.
It's
Thanks for the stretch.
If they write the Leafs winning a 2-round DVD, that stretch of hockey will be in it when he saved their ass. But boy, it's gone the other way in a hurry here.
Listen, this is Leafs talk, so we're all friends here, and I don't care. This will get clowned on by anybody who's not a Leaf fan. I'll get it in the mentions.
Here we go.
Well, no, it's just, you always dream about what a cup would be like. And, we're old, so we remember it's the Sports Illustrated cut, right? If the Leafs ever did win a cup and you talked about it for the rest of our lives, one of the great things to bring up when you'd be like 56 would be, and remember Marty Jones stepped in, and it's, that would be, so he's giving everything he gave you was great.
Yeah.
Everything he gave you was great, but that'd be a great anecdote. It's like, nothing sweeter. I was on the phone with my college roommate the other night, and we were just straight up on the phone for an hour and a half talking about old bands that we like.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It hit. It was just different old bands that we were like listening to. It was just like, oh yeah, they're sick too. They're sick too. Just an hour and a half of that, and taking turns and then writing it down and being like, this is the best. That would be the only thing that could top that to me. Is like, naming old athletes that you used to like, random old athletes that you liked, and getting a memory from their season, old bands, and then when your team wins, which like
doesn't
for the Raptors championship.
Yeah.
Well, no, it just hasn't happened for a while.
Patrick McCaw hit in the finals. I do.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but those 2 goals in the third period, I almost threw my remote through my TV. Those went in.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done with my Marty.
Like I said, the first goal I texted you. Buddy, I'm as big of a goalie defender as it ever gets. I am the premier goalie defender. That meme where it's the military guy and the kids in the bed and it's all the knives.
Great meme. Love that.
That's me for all goalies. You can be just anybody, but basically, I even defended Garrett Sparks. Like, I'm trying to find goalies I haven't just defended to the hilt. And
since we've known each other, there hasn't been one.
No, I've defended every single Leafs
every
goalie.
single one.
Yeah, like name a goalie and I'll tell you a memory that I have, and that's a positive. I just actually the only guy I didn't. I feel bad because now he comes on the show and he's a good guy. Is Ray Croft. Is the only goalie that I hated day one till the very bitter end, and never had one day where I was like, I like.
At least traded like a borderline Hall of Famer for him. That's why probably.
Yeah, that was a big. Yeah, but even in the moment, it was like, remember Vesa was at the junior tournament and he stoned Russia and he was incredible, and people not Vesa. So
I know Poggy.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's late.
No, well, I was thinking about other goalies I didn't like, and I actually did like Vesa when he first came in, like little Boba Fett. I was a big fan. Anyway,
end this show.
All right, time to go. Everybody go to bed. Let's get loopy again. All right. If you're listening to this on the podcast, do us a favor. Hit the subscribe to the pod, or you probably already do that. So leave 5 stars and leave a comment if you're listening on iTunes. And if you're watching on YouTube right now, and you're one of the sickos that stayed up late, or you're one of the people that's catching us in the morning, we really appreciate when you hit the thumbs up or you hit the old comment. Shoot us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at JD Bunkis, at Sam McKee, and we will see you on Saturday night against the Avs, which is all of a sudden like the sexiest game of the year. Cannot wait.